You're listening to Miss Style, Strength, and Grace with Deidre Murphy. This is your one-stop shop for style, fashion, health, and fitness. Deidre's passion is to help empower women to reach their fullest potential, both inside and out. Deidre and her guests will be discussing how to develop your style, health, and lifestyle hacks to energize your day and inspire you to keep reaching higher levels of success. Deidre is a professional fashion stylist, health guru, and Mrs. Washington 2017. It's time to get open and honest with Deidre.
Well, hello and welcome, listeners. Today is another special episode of Miss Style, Strength, and Grace, and the holiday season is officially in full swing. Thanksgiving is now over, and we are really entering the Christmas season, and then New Year's and all of the festivities to boot, not to mention, the football games and the parties and the tailgating festivals, which I don't really know why I'm mentioning that because I don't go tailgating. What am I saying? Anyway, so I wanted to share about a tradition that my holiday weekend always has on Thanksgiving Day weekend. And it is a tradition my husband and I started actually the first year that we were actually married. And so that would be 5 years ago now. And it's something that we do to kind of not only seclude ourselves and have a little bit of a getaway from the rest of the world and the hustle and bustle, especially during Black Friday weekend, but two, it's a chance for us to really reflect on the now almost over year and vision and goal plan and dream for our next calendar year. So obviously there's still a few weeks left in 2019, but what better time is there to sit down and not only reflect on the previous year, but look forward to the next year and strategize and goal plan for the next year. So even though we're not completely done with 2018, by the time January 1st rolls around, if you wait until then to sit down and think about the things you want to accomplish in 2019, you're going to lose that momentum that you really would have wanted to start the new year off on the right foot. So rather than wait until, like I said, January 1st to think about your goals, start thinking about them now and think about the things that you really want to start implementing in the new year. So that way, by the time January 1st hits, you already have the action steps written down. You already know the game plan that you need in order to start accomplishing those goals. And that's actually another little side note. My husband and I don't do New Year's resolutions because let's face it, resolutions are something you start really eagerly on January 1st. Maybe by February, you're still feeling good about it. But for the most part, most people have sloughed off on those New Year's resolutions by March. Let's just be real. So rather than make resolutions or, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, but then not put into effect the action steps necessary to lose that 30 pounds, let's make plans and goals for 2019 with really marketable and actionable steps. So I'm totally going to use a term that I did not coin, and I'm sure there's some sort of copyright infringement right now, but anyway, let's talk about being goal diggers. So where are my goal diggers at? That is a term coined by Jenna Kutcher. She's an online influencer. She has a podcast herself called Goal Diggers. So let's talk about what does it really look like to create goals and map them out in ways that you can actually be successful at reaching them. And my husband and I actually, before we sat down and started our goal planning session, we listened to an entire webinar on how to goal plan. And it was already things we kind of knew how to do. We were already implementing, but it just took our goal planning session to the next level. So every year we sit down and kind of get away from the hustle and bustle from Black Friday and all the crazy shopping. And I know that's weird as a personal stylist, like I avoid the mall and shopping on Black Friday. Well, I just would rather not deal with the crowds. And if there's something I really want or a gift I really want to purchase, I'm going to wait till Cyber Monday to get the same deal on it online. That's just my preference. And I just don't like all the crowds and the pushing and shoving and the consumerism that goes with Black Friday. But that's my little spiel on that. I will step off of my soapbox. So we like to get away, and we had a little staycation this weekend. So Friday night we checked into our hotel. It was actually only about 30 minutes away from where we live. So it was, like I said, a little staycation, but checked in, had our date night. My husband watched the Apple Cup, which if you're from Washington State, you know that that's when our two major rival colleges play one another. WSU plays University of Washington. And I was rooting for the Huskies. I could honestly go either way. I'm not a huge football person, but I was just kind of hoping the Huskies would win, and they did. So he watched the game, and then we went out to dinner that night, and so it was kind of more of a date night. Then the next day, we just hit the ground running. Put our heads down. We holed up in our hotel room all day long, stayed in our sweats, and just goal planned and hashed the day out with not only our calendar and ideas for the next year, but even like we kind of skipped meals. Like by the time it was like 7:30, we were thinking, oh man, we haven't even really eaten. So we got dinner from the restaurant and it was amazing. And finally went back to some more goal planning and then chilled for the rest of the night by the fireplace in our hotel room. So today I want to talk about some not only goal planning ideas, so like what categories can you goal plan for, whether you have a business or not. Like this isn't just for people that own businesses, this is for really anybody. So what areas can you goal plan for? How to do it strategically and with action-based steps. And then lastly, just a few other ways to help you reach your goals and really get up your excitement in order to reach them. So for goal planning ideas, these are the templates that my husband and I use for making our own ideas and goal planning out. So we each go over our personal goals for the year. So I liked to come up with about 10. It doesn't have to be 10 exactly, but that seems like a good round number to me. Goals for each of these categories. So I came up with my own personal goals for 2019. And some of them were as simple as, hey, I'm going to write at least one thank you note every week, just to help stay in a state of gratitude and really reach out to those people that I feel like I need to write a handwritten thank you card to, personal goals like, hey, I want to work out 6 days a week by 9 o'clock a.m. and have that workout done. So there's different levels of goals, but it's just up to you. One of my goals was really simple. It was, hey, I'm going to try to call my brother at least once a month and talk on the phone with him for 10 minutes. At least that, because I feel like I need to get closer to my brother and just share more about our days. And I don't get to see him that often because he lives in California. So it could be whatever you want. But when you're making those goals, create ways to measure that. So rather than just say, I want to talk to my brother more, or I want to get closer to my brother. No, I'm going to say, I'm going to call and attempt to talk to my brother for 10 minutes at least once a month. Or if your goal is to exercise more, I'm going to work out for at least an hour, 6 days a week by 9 a.m. So making sure that there's clearly measurable action steps that go along with that goal. So first, we do our own personal goals for the year. Then I do a business goal list. So for my personal business, Style by Deidre, what are the goals and major events and launches that I want to have for that business? Then because my husband and I also own a wellness center and a couple other businesses, we did a conjoined business goal planning list. Then we even break down our couple goals together. So we break it down to our 1-year goals. So for 2019, what are things we want to accomplish together or just do together, or trips we want to take, friends we want to visit across the country, to even our 5 and then 10-year goals. So one of our 10-year goals, and this is like a lofty goal for us, is to be able to take our entire family on a big tropical destination trip with them and really be able to spend that quality time with all of them for about a week. So again, you can break it down to big or small goals. And then we even have a running bucket list, is what we like to call it, which I'm sure you've all heard of a bucket list. There's a movie about it, and it's those like big dreams that you want to accomplish by the end of your life. So we have our bucket list items, and we address that and say, hey, did we knock off any bucket list items in the last year? And then we pick one to try and accomplish within the next calendar year. So our next big bucket list item that we want to accomplish or visit is to go to Thailand and also to go on another mission trip. So those are 2 things that we're going to try and accomplish next year. And then that leads me to, also planning out your calendar. So when it does come to like trips or launches or just big events or even just visiting certain people, we like to put it in our calendar in advance. So we sat out and we listed out all the trips, the major ones where we're going to have to get on a plane or even just drive across the country on a long destination, and we put it in our calendar. So we talked about at Thanksgiving taking an RV trip with my in-laws. They have a giant RV that they've been kind of enjoying their retirement in, and we were chatting about it like, hey, it'd be fun to take a big road trip with you guys. And rather than just leave it in the, oh yeah, like that would be fun, like let's do that sometime, and then it never happens, my husband and I sat down and we called our in-laws and said, hey, we really want to do this RV trip with you, even if it's just down, the Pacific coastline. What's a week that you guys can manage to fit it in your schedule, and let's put it in the calendar now. And then as it gets closer, we'll assess it, make sure it's still on board and on track, and actually make it happen. So between all 4 of our schedules, we were able to coordinate 1 week where we can go on an RV trip with my in-laws, and we're not sure where we're going to go quite yet, but at least it's in the calendar, and we know that in July of 2019, we're going to be in an RV with my in-laws touring some part of the country. So that takes me to my next ultimate goal strategy is, how do you create those action steps? Well, you need to make not only measurable goals with it, like we talked about, like I'm going to work out 5 days a week for an hour by 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, but you need to come up with how much and by when. So for any goal, how much do you want to accomplish it by, and by what date? So a couple years ago, if you've listened to my story about like my health struggles and how I lost a majority of my weight, I had to start setting myself up for an expectation of losing a certain amount by a certain date. So I had a pageant coming up. It was the first time I was going to be competing at Mrs. Washington America, and that was 2015, I believe. I could be wrong on the year. I don't remember. But obviously I had that date in my calendar. So I knew if I wanted to feel confident on stage, not only in an evening gown, but in a swimsuit, I knew I needed to lose 30 pounds by that date. I had gained a lot of weight because of my insomnia and depression, and I knew that wasn't my ultimate goal. I wanted to lose even more than that, but I knew that if I just wanted to feel even decently comfortable being on stage, that I needed to lose 30 pounds by March or May of that year. And so I broke it down even from that. Okay, like at the point that I'm at right now on January 1st, that means how many pounds a week do I need to lose? Okay, that meant I was going to shoot for losing 1 to 2 pounds a week on average and steadily make that progress. And then 2, I had to break it down from that. How many days a week was I going to work out? How long was I going to work out? Was I going to work out Monday through Friday, or was I going to do weekends as well and to have some rest days during midweek rather than on the weekends? If my schedule was going to get wonky because of traveling, did that mean I was going to change my workout schedule? It also meant, planning out my meals, meal prepping. When was I going to pack lunches and pack meals for myself so I wasn't stuck in a situation where I was getting hangry out and about and where I would fall victim to eating out or eating food that I knew I shouldn't have? And even mapping out like, okay, if I am going to eat out, how many days a week am I going to allow myself to eat out? At that time, when I was really trying to get my body back on track and my hormones balanced, I was limiting myself to only eating out once a week, if that, just because there's so many things that restaurants will not only cook their food in, but add into their food that you just don't know what they're doing. And even if you're trying to eat as clean and as good as possible, you just never really know everything they're putting in there. So I tried to limit how much I was actually eating out. And then 2, adding in supplements. Like, okay, what supplements am I going to take to help get my body back on track? What does that mean for my social life? And just really measuring out how much and by when, and then having consequences. So obviously I knew that I was still going to compete, but, maybe my consequence was, at that time, if I didn't make those certain goals, that I wouldn't wear the certain dress that I was hoping to wear, or I wasn't going to be able to wear the certain swimsuit I was going to want to wear to feel most confident on stage. So there has to be some sort of consequence, and it doesn't have to be something major. I've heard of people that make goals, and if they don't meet them, they either have to pay money to an organization or they have to pay somebody else. So for instance, I knew somebody that made some certain goals with her accountability partner, and if she didn't reach them, she had to donate money to the opposing political party. So she was a Democrat, and she knew that if she didn't reach certain goals for her business, she had to donate money to the Republican Party. Now, that might work for somebody, that might not work for somebody else. Or my neighbor, she and I would go running quite often this summer on our hillside out here, and she joined a running accountability group, and she was trying to do it for weight loss. And if she wasn't hitting her benchmarks for her weight loss at all of her weigh-ins with her accountability coach, she literally had to pay a check and write a check to her coach for like $50 every time if she didn't meet her goals. So that's one way to have a consequence. If you're motivated by money, then go for that. But just remember to have how much and by when. Another example would be a business goal. So I have a big launch that I'm coming up, a big event that I'm planning for the weekend of March 8th, 2019. And again, that was part of the goal planning session, figuring out, okay, what's the actual date that I'm going to get this on the calendar for this event, but then reverse engineering it from there. So once I picked my goal, set the date, so that's my when, then I have measurable steps for how much for each step leading up to it. Like, okay, if I'm going to have this event, where's it going to be at? It's going to be in Bellevue, Washington, the weekend of March 8th. Okay, reverse engineer that. How much time is it going to take to get there? How many seats do I need to sell for this event? Where am I going to host it at? How much do I then need to mark the ticket sales at in order to host the event there, to cover all, not only the costs, but the hotel and food and beverages and everything like that? So reverse engineering any of your goals so you can figure out how much and by when for each of the steps leading up to it. And then this is a little side note, but I heard this the other day that if you have a launch or a big goal or a dream that you're trying to accomplish, especially in business, but even just personal goals like maybe health or fitness goals, if you can't come up with a measurable goal and accomplish that goal within 90 days, so 3 months, then your goal is either too big or it's something you need to reevaluate. Or there's something wrong in the system, especially when it comes to business. If you can't accomplish that goal within 90 days, then you need to reassess like how big that goal is and some of the markers for accomplishing that goal. But then the reverse is true as well. If you can hit that goal within like a couple days, maybe your goal's not big enough. Maybe you need to set yourself up for kind of that like scary ass, oh my gosh, this is really going to make me pee my pants big of a goal. And that's how I felt about some of the big goals that I set myself up for 2019, like writing them down and even reverse engineering them from there. It's kind of like, holy crap, gang, if this is going to get real, I'm a little scared, but if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. So just keep that in mind as well. There's other ways to goal plan and really set yourself up for success. And so my last little tidbit here would be to add some fun into your goal planning session and create a vision board. Now, I do this with my clients for their style, and we help come up with a vision board for their style and their style statement and how they want to dress every day. So why not do that for your life? I made my new vision board for 2019, and I kept it pretty simple as far as like how I made it. I did it with Google Images and just copied and pasted pictures onto a PowerPoint document and then printed that puppy out. I'm going to paste it on my mirror in my bathroom. I'm going to put it in my office by my desk just so I can think about those goals and visualize them. That's the whole point of a vision board, right? Visualizing vision. And you can make it as simple or as complicated as a process as you want. So if you're more of a paper pen person and cut and paste, maybe you get out some magazines that have images that you want to accomplish or dreams you want to have, and cut and paste those out and display them somewhere. That's the biggest key, is to do it and then display it and put it up somewhere that you're going to see it every day, so you can keep those big goals in mind. Like, okay, why am I getting up and doing this today? Oh yeah, it's because I want to accomplish this. When I was trying to get fit, I put a image of a girl with really ripped abs on my vision board because I was like, oh yeah, why am I getting up early and working out? Oh yeah, because that's the dream that I want to have for my body. Or when I had the dream of going to Paris, I had never been there yet, but I had it on my vision board last year, and I kept seeing that. I kept seeing visions of the Eiffel Tower and, images of like Audrey Hepburn on my vision board. And guess what? Not only did I get to go to Paris, I went twice last year. And it's not just because I worked hard for it, but like when you put those images and those dreams out into the universe, those vibrations tell the universe and God and infinite intelligence what you desire. And so it starts attracting that into your life. And you start even just focusing more on the ways to get that going, whether it's your action steps or what you're doing every day. And you'll find that things start aligning in your life so that you can accomplish those big goals. I mean, even some of mine are pretty simple, like purses or bags that I want to have. One of my big goals this year was to make my first big girl designer bag purchase, and I had the image of the exact bag that I wanted on my vision board, and it took a long time. It took a couple years, but I was finally able to purchase that particular bag that I wanted. So just keep in mind that it is a process. It's a journey. It doesn't just happen overnight. It can take years, but if you start putting in those steps and those actionable pieces, the how much and by when, you can really start to live the life of your dreams. And that doesn't mean that you have to sit down and have a whole day of 10 hours of goal planning like my husband and I do. But what if it's just an hour and you sit down and talk about and think about the goals that you have for your personal life, your social life, your family life, and even your health and fitness. So with that, I hope to inspire you to start becoming your own goal digger. And I want to hear about some of your personal goals. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this episode. So take a screenshot if you're listening to this on your mobile device and share it on social media and tag me at Style by Deidre, or on Facebook, I'm Deidre Ann Murphy. You can check me out on both those social media platforms, just because I would love to hear about what your goals are and how you plan on accomplishing the best year yet.
Hey ladies, thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. To help empower more women, please be a doll and rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. For show notes and other free resources we mentioned today, go to stylebydeidre.com.